Today we're going through one of DreamWorks' terrible movies. No, not that one, not that, or that, or that, or that. I'm actually not much of a DreamWorks hater on the older stuff anyway. But even still, we're now coming round to our next prompt, Monsters vs. Aliens. Releasing back in 2009, I didn't see it. I don't even know what I was doing in 2009. Do you know what you were? I was, going through my awkward phase, apparently. But since I never saw it back then, and I've heard bad things, we're watching it now. Let's go. We start off in space. Earth. Never mind, that's not Earth. This is Earth, with a glowing meteorite heading straight for it. This is a 3D movie, isn't it? Very subtle. You can forget these guys. They add nothing. We're here with a monster's perspective in a house. Oh, never mind. Bit of a weird asthma joke here. Anyway, it's 5 a.m. Time to watch the news, because the weatherman is the boyfriend, and they're getting married today.
Ah, honey, my fingers are crossed. One thumb is shorter than the other. It runs in the family.
Derek doesn't have that.
Okay, starting off on a great note of minor birth defects and disabilities, kinda. But let's see the wedding in action. Here's the groom, Derek, who now says their honeymoon has been relocated to Fresno. I have no idea where that is. To follow his career path instead. And then just as he leaves, that meteorite appears. What, did you expect her to dodge? She's not a monster or an alien. We can forget her too. Clearly she's not gonna add anything either. Just like the nerds earlier. God, what are these character designs? This one looks more like skull than face. Anyway, the wedding goes on, and Susan over here is positively glowing.
No, Susan, you're like really glowing. You're green.
This is impossible!
And just like that, a corner of the internet was born, and they called it DeviantArt. Susan crashes through the top of the chapel. No one really attempts to help, and they attempt to gag.
Here comes the bride!
But come on, there's clearly a missed opportunity here. Oh my god, it's Bridezilla! Come on guys, it was obvious. But then the army come in and take her down, and that guy from Queen's Gambit is left flabbergasted. Congratulations, you've made it past the prologue. Not a bad start. Hints of aliens and monsters, and right to the point. Could do with less of the cursed imagery, and maybe the jokes need a little work, but I can stomach some more. Susan now wakes up in prison. What a fun imagery to look at, all greys. But it's here we meet the other monsters. There's Hugh Laurie, Dr. Cockroach, Will Arnett, the missing link, and Seth Rogan Blob. But seriously, this is a cast that goes incredibly hard. I mean, Dr. House, BoJack Horseman, and Donkey Kong all in a room together? Not to mention Derek was Paul Rudd, Susan is Reese Witherspoon, and then apparently there's a president, and he's Stephen Colbert! And this is from 2009. Anyway, they're all in monster prison. Time to show off their quirks and their jokes.
Stop doing that! I forgot how to breathe. Don't know how to breathe. Ha! Ow!
And their jokes are just not good. I mean, with a prompt called Monsters vs. Aliens, you'd think this would be a pretty easy viral hit. So much room for creativity, but the humor in this movie is flat most of the time. Also, these monsters aren't very monster-y. Was it to not scare children or something? Soon enough, everyone is rorted back to their cells, and we meet the guy behind this institution, General Monger. A guy with a jetpack explaining that she'll never see the outside world again, and her new name is Ginormica. Seriously, why isn't it Bridezilla? And again, not really a monster, just a giant. And this is her new cell. Meanwhile, we see the aliens side of things. Now, never mind, it's alien, singular. He's just discovered Earth where that meteorite landed and wants all the quantonium from it. What a boring fake element name.
Do you guys just put the word quantum in front of everything?
And he sends out a probe. Discovered by these two immediately.
Katie, are you nuts? Wait! Don't leave me alone!
Their scene isn't really funny. Barely worth covering.
Katie!
This is the worst date ever.
See, I thought she was gonna reveal she too was an alien, but no, there's just one. And we never see them again. But okay, now we've reached meme territory. I've seen this scene, or at least a smidge of it online. It's the president scene.
I must approach it alone. This is all about peaceful communication.
My god, why does he look like that? What is with these triple-chin, blobby character designs in this movie? Truly ahead of its time for adult animation. Ugly. At least Joe Biden made it in. Anyway, Stephen Colbert here is to make contact with a gigantic, one-eyed robot. I like how there's just a guy waiting along the stairs. The comedy is strong with this guy. How will America make contact? By playing Axel F to them. I can't play any of the sound, but let's be honest, we all recognize it as that one Crazy Frog song. This is what they were remixing back then, and clearly the probe isn't a fan. I mean, why was it even sitting still this whole time if it was tasked to finding Quantonium? And how is playing one mainstream song a good scene, you know? Anyway, after the president has his post-Taco Bell experience, everyone attacks. It fails, and they all scatter.
So that's how you want to play it?
Eat lead, alien robot!
Evidently they eat lead.
I think this president guy is the funniest character. Can't wait to see loads of him. Man, I love my job. So the American government is planning their response. Enter General Monger's monster plan. It's kind of a simple plotline.
Nuclear radiation turned him from a small grub into a 350-foot tall monster that attacked Tokyo.
Wait, so he's Godzilla? And they go forward with it. This is the last time you'll be seeing Best Boy for a while. By the way, the monsters now have been locked up for a month, or so we're told. Now they know everything about each other, and are more comfortable. Not that we really get to see the depths of any of their relationships. They just kind of do things on screen. They zap Susan, and nothing comes out of it. Alright.
Nobody's ever getting out.
Good news, monsters! You're getting out!
Until today.
And so they're placed to take down the robot. No real training, no real plan, but hey, it's monsters versus aliens. Susan has the right idea and flees, but the others, I guess, are fighters now? Even the dude who's just a scientist with a cockroach defect? No, apparently not. The robot immediately now gets to Susan in the city instead. But it was walking so slow. Hey, does this just not feel like the same set as Megamind to you? It does to me. Man, I think that's their, that's their first joke about her being a giant. That's good. Ginormicus skates downtown with cars for shoes, whilst the other boys use a jet-powered tram to chase the robot. Hey, I like the inventor creativity there. Until the Seth Rogan blob ruins the plans, so it kind of goes nowhere. Instead, we come to the bridge. How is this robot tailing so quickly when we can consistently see its slow pace? And it just happened to get its other claw all tangled? That was easy. And so the team take it down. Susan holding against it and stopping cars from falling. The missing link burns himself out. Dr. Cockroach actually uses his cockroach thing for a good but simple gag, severing it from the inside. And Bob...
What?
Help me!
Sorry, I was just staring at this bird over there.
What? Is that meant to be funny? And then they finally decapitate it with the bridge. Somehow. And since that one alien has been defeated, now he's gonna come over and do it himself. What a groundbreaking plot. Meanwhile, the monsters are reveling in victory, and Link is upset for how poorly he did before. This doesn't really get realized. They don't really mention anything else important, but they do want to meet Derek. Hold on, how do these guys suddenly have the authority to choose they just want to mosey around Susan's town? Is there no politics to this kind of thing? Hey, it's Susan's family, readying up for a scene of gags. The Seth Rogan blob thinks the mum is Derek and swallows them. Cockroach is eating trash. Link crashes. You know, these jokes often fall flat. They still haven't done many giant jokes. Unless that counts. All the humans are freaked out despite clearly getting hours to spend time with them, and Susan has spent the whole time hunting Derek. You know where this scene is going to.
But I'm not looking to get married and spend the rest of my life in someone else's shadow. And you're casting a pretty big shadow.
What a twist! The boyfriend is an antagonist. And the others are sad too. Hey, how did they get on this route? This is a stretch for the guys to get to that sad second stage. And in their sadness, they turn it around into some motivational speech about how amazing each of them are anyway. Just in time for the real alien invasion. Susan's still taken and Insectosaurus is dead. Oof. Also, why the change of clothes? Was that really necessary? Hasn't DeviantArt been fed enough? So this is Galaxar, voiced by Dwight, explaining that Quantonium is the source of Susan's Ginormica form, and it is to be extracted from her. But in a nice twist from the cliche,
That force field is impenetrable. What the flagnon?
she immediately breaches out. Not that the gag's very funny. And she goes on a rampage to turn the tables. Galaxar has to run for his life. It's kind of cool. Until he traps her again and successfully takes out all of her power. This is how I felt when I learned I was never going to be 6 foot. Still, hitting all those beats, it's time for the Evil Monologue.
When I was but a squidling, I found out my parents were... But I've told you too much already.
A nice twist on the trope. And begins the cloning plan. Still, technically just one alien on this side, but sure. Hundreds of Galaxars now exist. And he's just warned all of Earth. Why? To tell a joke that he comes in peace, but will also kill everyone. Even with the correct delivery, it's just not a very strong joke. But hey, at least the president is back, yay!
Okay, boys, set the terror level at code brown, because I need to change my pants.
And that's the last we'll see of him. I feel like this movie puts on its comedy chops on all the wrong characters. But after a night of, I guess, just standing in one place, the final 3 are hoiked onto a rescue mission. And after a brief moment of genuine character connection, although it's pretty thinly veiled with a single line and then a gag response, it begins. And General Monger is immediately zapped out of the sky. Rest in peace to this poor guy on the side. Meanwhile, the monsters do their cliched thing and blend into the cloned crowd. And actually, even the evil escort thing has been done before. But somehow I still made an amused noise from the result.
Would you like a gun?
Yes, I would. Hey guys, look.
I guess it's just good delivery. And then, of course, not long later, they're all found out. Cue the done before and never explained event that is incredible martial arts fighting with the clones as perfect punching bags. I at least like some of the creative approaches here. Link's just kinda boring. And then they make it up to the MacGuffin room.
You'll never figure out my color code.
My PhD is in dance.
Okay, this is stupid. It's a trope of its time, I guess, but I don't ever really get it. I roll my eyes enough trying to suspend my belief for the fight scenes, but this is just too much, especially because he clearly has an actual affinity in science because of all his gadgets. But whatever, it works perfectly, despite all the logical leaps it has to make. The ship has now been set to self-destruct.
Well, launch the invasion then!
Invasion no longer possible.
Oh, baseballs.
First of all, great line there. Second, what's the point of showing us all these gigantic robots and millions of clones if we don't actually get to see such a Chekhov's gun go off? I would have assumed for maximum entertainment, we should see the villain at their worst. This just kind of cuts to a victory too quickly, no? Actually, no, now there's a smaller event to deal with. The boys are trapped inside.
Susan, get out of here while you still got the chance.
No, don't say that.
Alright, you know this scene already, let's just jump ahead a little. Oh, okay, so they do use the robots briefly, but they only step a couple times and then domino each other to death. Meanwhile, Susan can now fly, essentially, and rolls a 20 on kicking Galaxar directly in the face. It's a 1v1. And so the fight goes on. You know, I still think Monsters vs. Aliens as a title is really good to spark a successful franchise, but something about the execution has flubbed it all the way down. This movie isn't the most terrible thing I've seen, but it feels very much like just another clone of everything we've seen before. There's so many cliches and the plot is so basic. Not to mention, I don't think these characters really pull their weight. Bob is comic relief, so then why is the missing link too? And what's with such a confusing name? Where's Mummy or a ghost? Witch? Zombies? Those are monsters, not scientists. And again, the alien's just one dude. It's a shame as well, because the voice performance is great in a lot of places, with this stellar cast, and the direction does some interesting things sometimes. There's a good dolly zoom, these sort of handheld shots, I like the limb broken ankle, and just some nice ideas put onto the screen. But this writing is just so flat. There's no real character connection or emotion, and so many failed jokes. What is this laugh?
Forgive him. Oh,
The humor is just not there, apart from the cherry-picked stuff that became a couple memes. And they're not about these guys! I really like these character designs though. I'm getting a vibe of Crash Bandicoot or Ratchet & Clank out of this. It's just a shame this movie doesn't do anything strong or heartfelt or deep. It's just kinda... So let's just get back to the fight. They're both kinda weak anyway, so it's just a pulling around fest until Susan goes splat again. Are we sure the flattening is part of the transformation? And then she teleports back over to save the boys. Everything starts falling apart, they dangle off the edge like you've also seen a million times until they're saved a final time by Monga. Yeah, he survived earlier, and so did Insectosaurus.
Insectosaurus, you're alive! And you're a butterfly.
And the spaceship explodes. So like, was every clone doomed even after escaping the room earlier? I guess so. Or they didn't care. The team come down to celebrate at Susan's hometown. Everyone's grand. Derek appears to forgive Susan just so she can respond with...
Goodbye, Derek.
That's really underwhelming too. No bigger reaction than that. Surely the damn chess boy deserves a bit more than that. They're set off on another mission, even though they leave the general behind and fly off into the sunset, like we've also seen a million times before. A complete miss on satisfaction from start to finish. The story is basic, characters flat, jokes average or unrealized, and the prompt itself given such a milquetoast interpretation. A disappointment through and through. But perhaps a lesson learned, as 364 days later, they release the first installment of one of their magnum opus franchises in How to Train Your Dragon, with $10 million less in the budget. Actually, this was the most expensive DreamWorks film ever. They spend a fraction of that these days. However it happened, this will remain only in the backs of our minds as a movie that just kinda happened. Predictable and forgettable. At least it didn't hold back the voice cast. For now, my name's been Dazz. You didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit.